All right, so welcome everybody to today's webinar session. My name is Krister Lowe, and I am joined today by my wonderful colleagues Eric Kohner, Pim Harder, and Rosen Jacobson. And we're excited to welcome you to this webinar on really exploring experiential learning on another level, in this case on a tall ship. And so what we're really hoping in this webinar is to have really sort of do two things. One is to have some learning, so you will actually walk away today having learned something maybe new as a coach or as a leader, as a facilitator. But also we want to talk a bit about a really exciting program that we are putting together in April on a tall ship based out of the Netherlands called the Wylde Swan. And this is sort of kicking off the first leg of a 4-month Trans-Ocean Tall Ships Regatta and race, which is going to be going on. We're going to be doing a special program which we've designed for coaches, and it's going to be for 2 weeks, really exciting, from London in England to Sines, Portugal. Really dynamic program. We're really excited to share more about that today. There's been a lot of interest in the program. For a lot of folks, getting away for 2 weeks is a big commitment. We anticipate having shorter programs in the future, 3 days long, but I think this 2-week one is going to be a really special journey, and we're excited to share more with you today about this exciting program. So I am going to share my screen. We have just a few slides to help us during the session today. And what I'm also going to encourage you to do is, this is sort of an informal session, so feel free, ask questions, make comments in the chat window. There are a handful of us, that will be helping to navigate this conversation today. And you'll definitely make some moments if you want to come on, ask questions, share comments. But with that, why don't we jump in and get this webinar started for today. And again, this will be a replay. This video will be available as a replay in the event that you have to pop out early, or for those who are not here can have a chance to listen and take in some of this content. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So again, you may be asking sort of the big question about why do a training program, a leadership and coach training program on a tall ship? And so this is something that my colleagues and I, have thought about. And aside from the fun and adventure, which I put as number one, we put as number one on this list of reasons why I do something like this, is, to have some fun and adventure. I think it's a good enough reason in and of itself. But another one is, we find as coaches that oftentimes we're out coaching others, taking care of others. And, maybe some of us are getting supervision or have coaching ourselves, but taking the time to really invest in ourselves as coaches and leaders is really important. So we really wanted to create an experience this time for coaches specifically, to really allow coaches to have that opportunity to invest in themselves. And I don't know about all of you, but I've been in learning and development for more than 15 years. And there's sort of this pressure to try to do everything in less time and faster. And so I remember the glory days when you could take people away for 3 days on retreats and trainings. And now it seems like we're lucky if we get people for a half day or even for 1.5-hour webinars. So I think, we want to buck the trend on that and, create a dynamic learning space where we as coaches can invest in ourselves and, really do that in a way that we're not sort of, challenged, but where we can really unplug, and do that investment. In addition, our sense is that as the coaching field is maturing, a lot of niche areas are starting to emerge. There's a big shift in industry, in the movement to teams. Obviously, there are coaches out there that specialize in coaching whole systems. And it seems like now that the coaching field is maturing and moving out of stage of adolescence to adulthood, integrating coaching across multiple levels of analysis seems like an area that we could benefit from. And so one of the things we want to do is bring a model and an approach to coaching, which we're going to be sharing a little bit about on the webinar today, but in particular for those who are on the boat. How do we integrate coaching at different levels of analysis? And each of us come to coaching maybe with more expertise in one of these levels or the other. But for those of us in particular working in organizational systems, it can be helpful to have skills at all of those levels. We want to take experiential learning to another level. And so we feel that being on a boat in a way is just a really wonderful construct and metaphor. The boat itself creates a really, rich metaphor and context for learning. And it will be a whole system, because in addition to us as program leaders and the participants, there will be a captain and professional crew on the boat, making sure everything we're doing is safe and that the sailing is safe. And there's going to be some additional participants on the boat who are just there for sail training. So the boat itself will be like a mini organization. And so we're really excited to apply the learning on a real, in a real organizational context with a real task, which is going to be to race this tall ship from London to Portugal faster than the other tall ships. So it's going to be sort of experiential and beyond just simulation, but having a real goal and a backdrop for learning. And so we think that's going to be really exciting. Being on the ocean, being on the boat is going to create lots of unexpected opportunities and challenges. And we want to work with that dynamic environment in a great way to really, stimulate learning. We also,
I also kind of want to jump in for a second.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Say that the actual race is a metaphor also for organizations in the sense that there is a competitive aspect to all businesses. Businesses need to win to survive. And so this is kind of like an added dimension that will, I think, really, really, how do you create meaningful teams and relationships as you're shooting to win a race? So it's I think, a great metaphor for working inside organizations.
Indeed. So building on that, as we move into number 5 is we want to experiment with distributed leadership, novel forms of learning. So I think most of us are probably familiar of going to coach trainings or training programs where it's really clear that there's sort of a top-down, very directed model of learning led by the facilitators. And so while we're going to be providing some of that, we're going to be experimenting in a more dynamic way with a distributed leadership and learning model. And really excited to introduce that to you as well. This number 6, I think, is a really important one that, one of my favorite team coaches out in the world, a man by the name of Peter Hawkins in the UK, really likes to say that nature is a stakeholder that more often than not, all of us tend to forget about when we're thinking about helping systems and intervene in systems. And so, nature, there's a wisdom and knowledge in nature, and it's something that we want to really help people reconnect to, that in our digital lives, in our modern world, people are becoming increasingly separate from nature. And, it is part of the ecosystem that we're a part of. And so being on the boat, on the ocean for 2 weeks is going to provide a great opportunity to reconnect with that. And part of that also is about the presencing effect that being in nature provides, that when we're in nature, it helps us get back in our bodies. A lot of the time we're in our heads, but when you're in nature, it forces you to kind of tap into other senses and really get back into your bodies and, connected with yourself in ways that, you may be surprised that have gotten lost just in our sort of busy modern lives. Building community. So that's always a part of these kind of experiences.
1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Add that, most leadership programs try to pack in as much as possible with the idea that more is better. We're going to actually tone it down because of the nature aspect. We want to be able to have the participants to actually be with and spend a lot of time with themselves and with nature. That's another reason why we're in that point.
Yeah, not to crowd the agenda so much that there's no there's no room for the spirit and other things to show up. Moving on to number 8, it's just around the reflection on trends and disruptions impacting our industry and how, as coaches, we can remain relevant. I was just at a talk recently by Deloitte Consulting, and they had surveyed more than 7,000 companies in 130 countries. And the number one trend that companies reported on now moving into 2017 is that 92% of the companies surveyed found that their organizations are not designed and fit for purpose in the digital world, and that only about 14% of companies have a clear sense of how to respond. But what the research unfolded is that what companies are finding is that the answer is shifting to organizing companies as networks of small, nimble teams that work in agile and iterative ways. And so I think as we're going to be seeing organizations rapidly changing the way business is being done, it's already underway, has a lot of implications for us as coaches. And so how do we stay up with the trends and continue to provide value to companies as everything gets disrupted around us, including the coaching industry itself? And then a final point is, we wanted to just throw in there is this part of this program is going to be a real opportunity to really get some individualized coaching and mentoring. So we're excited to really bring a part of this program about investing in you personally. So you'll be part of a group, part of a larger team and the ship, but we really are looking forward to having this 2 weeks to really drill down into you as an individual, as a leader, and for you to benefit from getting a lot of individualized coaching and mentoring. So there are many other reasons. Those are just 9, just to fit on the slide here, that we wanted to just throw out there to give you a little bit of context about what's been driving us behind why we want to do this program. Eric, Pim, Robert, anything else to add before we move to introducing our team a bit more to the participants today?
Well, there were interesting things you said, which I recognized very much, and maybe I explain a little bit more when I explain where I come from. But there were 3 things I recognized very much at the first, and I will explain later about the racing, the Transocean racing I did, investing time in yourself to understand how important it is to understand how yourself is reacting on, and is the interaction between yourself and the decision making you do. The second thing is, I found it a very nice thing you said, fit for purpose, because that is also something in industries which is very important in certain technical industries like upstream oil and gas industry. And the third thing, which is for me personally and for maybe a lot of people also important, is experiential learning. I have worked in programs for strategical thinking in large organizations and also medium-sized enterprises, where you organize with each other, or you're working with the experiential learning, not saying what the future will be, but how to understand how the external environment of a company, how you can react on that. It's like a simulator of a pilot. So the pilot cannot understand and know the 10 billion situations he might face, but he can understand a little bit the interaction between all the main important variables. Anyhow, that's my reaction on the things you mentioned.
Great. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Pim and Eric, you guys are good?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're just going to quickly run through a brief introduction to who we are and provide a little bit of a background to our connection to this program. So why don't we just go across the slide here, and Eric, do you want to jump in first?
Okay, sure. Oh yeah, I'm not muted. All right, great. So yeah, my name is Eric Kohner. I've been a coach, as I mentioned, for over 30 years. I'm a senior trainer for the Coaches Training Institute. I've been doing this for a long time. And the reason I got involved was actually because of Pim. Pim got in touch with me, and I am always looking for, what's the next challenge for me. So I've been bringing in executive and coach training and leadership development inside companies for a long time. What's the next edge for me? Well, I'm a New Yorker that's never sailed in his life, right? And Pim approached me and said, we need to create a leadership program on this ship. And to be quite honest with you, it scared the hell out of me. And that's when I knew immediately, this is the next journey I need to be on. It's completely taking me out of my comfort zone. And at the same time, I bring a lot of experience from the coaching and leadership world. So I'm doing this both for myself, because I want to recreate what I'm up to in the world, and I want to do it in an environment that's new and exciting. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice.
Great.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Eric. Okay, my name is Pim Harder, and I've been working as a professional coach for the last 15 years. I've been working mainly in education. I do some work for the Dutch police force and for cities in the Netherlands. But mainly in education, and through my work in education, I got in contact with the Wylde Swan. And the Wylde Swan is a tall ship that during the winter season sails with children in the age of 14 to 17 around the world. They've got programs from 7 weeks, and they start in the Netherlands. They sail over to north of Africa, and from north of Africa they go to the Caribbean and then back again to the Netherlands. And what I do is that I train the teachers that are on board, because those children that age have also teachers on board, and I train the teachers in coaching skills. And I've been training the whole team that is on board, so the nautical crew, the teachers, the children, in how to work together. So it's more a group dynamic process that I've been working with. In doing that, I've got really enthusiastic, and I saw the metaphor of the ship, is so applicable to coaching. And Eric contacted me for something else, for another thing. It was about bringing, because I designed an education program or coach training program for educators, and he asked me to bring that to the United States. And then I started talking about this because I find this so interesting, and we really got psyched and got Krister into the game. Designed our program, and later on got Robert on board, and I'm really looking forward to our first program. That's gonna happen in a couple of weeks already. So yeah.
And Pim, you're CPCC, so a CTI trained coach as well as an ORSCC.
I'm a CTI trained coach. I'm a certified professional corrective coach. I'm also trained by CRR Global. In organization, relationships, and systems coaching. I'm certified in that as well. So I've got a pretty broad background, so it's really like one-on-one coaching and team coaching / systems coaching. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm Krister Lowe, and one of the things I have in common with Pim is that we were both students of Eric Kohner. And actually, I think Robert just recently took a course with Eric, so I think all things we can claim is that Eric is a little bit of the... Eric's responsible to a certain degree for all of us on a certain level in terms of the coaching field.
I'm guilty as charged.
Indeed. So my passion is around team coaching. I am an organizational psychologist by training. I would say I'm in my second career. My first career was being in organizational consulting and training, a lot of training and facilitation and soft skills, everything you can imagine, negotiation, performance management, management development, conflict resolution, negotiation, etc. But about 5 years ago, I started coming to the coaching field, got trained as a coach. I've been through a lot of team coach trainings, and I've always been fascinated by teams. And, a couple of years ago, started researching around and found it was hard to find things on team coaching, team intervention, very well, robust literature and body of practice. But when it came to actually coaching teams, it was hard to find information. So I launched this podcast, the Team Coaching Zone. It's been 2 years in the running now, and it's been really wonderful. I've been through a lot of different team coach trainings. I'm a active practitioner. I basically do executive coaching and team coaching now is all I do. I'm an amateur sailor, so I've had some sail training, but not a professional sailor by any stretch. And so one of the things that's really exciting for me is I'm looking forward to using this as an opportunity to get out on the ocean more, and to continue to find ways to cultivate that hobby or interest that I have. So super excited about this program. And Robert, you want to jump in next?
Yes, I will. I started my career more in the large caps, and I wanted much more hands-on. So I went to small and medium-sized enterprises, did some turnaround over there. And then at a certain moment, I decided to do, I did some coaching education in Holland. Then I decided to go to be a professional ocean racer on on transocean racing boats, and then solo sailing. And I did that for about 7 years. I did 3 transocean races, and the smallest transocean racing class, the Mini Transat. And there I learned, in fact, if you're talking about experiential learning, I felt very much that is my thing. I mean, I have an academical title, and I can learn if I need to, but it's not my thing. And I felt very much on the Atlantic, all the hardship and the extreme, ultra extreme conditions I have faced, that I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about how my being influences my decision making. And I did it good and I did it bad. So I I have quite really, and I don't shame. I feel not ashamed about that. But I did also good things. And anyhow, but I learned a lot, and I know that self-leadership from that respect, because on the Atlantic Ocean, on a small racing boat from 6.5 meters, which is about 21 feet, with far too much sail on to go very fast. You are always not in an equilibrium, and you have to be yourself, to be very close to yourself, to understand how, and to realize, because it's very important that that you are in good shape to take every day, several times, the proper decisions. And that is why I learned that is what I really learned, and that I'm very interested, and I see also now the step we take towards team coaching and leadership on a big boat like the Wylde Swan, because it is 100,000 times heavier and bigger than this Mini Transat, and that how it is to bring that over to other people and to share that, and to see if other people can learn a little bit from all these hardship and experiences we all 4, by the way, have in a different way, maybe. Yeah. So I'm very thrilled to participate, and we have a fantastic team, we 4, because we have completely different angles, and that is fantastic.
Great. Well said. And to bring the 4 of us together, we represent different organizations, but we have created a body of intellectual property and knowledge, which we're calling the Whole Mind, Fully Embodied Leadership Program. And it's something that, applies at the individual team and systems levels. And you'll be learning a little bit more about that as the webinar unfolds. But thank you guys for sharing a bit more about yourselves. So the Wylde Swan, just to provide you a little bit of a backdrop, the boat we're going to be on was originally a herring hunter. So it was known for being really fast to bring the catch back from the North Atlantic to market as quickly as possible. So it's a really sleek ship. It's really fast. It's a spectacular schooner. And it's been retrofitted both in 1993 and I believe in 2010. And it's one of the largest brigantine ships in the world. Has participated in a number of the regattas, the Tall Ship Regattas. And I think, Pim, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, so it's not a brigantine, it's a schooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, the description on their website mentions schooner and brigantine, but cool.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. But it's about 180 feet long, 60 meters. You got some of the little stats there. And, between our group, which will probably number somewhere around 15 or 16, the captain and crew, a handful of folks there, and another additional participants, we're probably going to be somewhere between 30, probably roughly about 30 people or so on the boat. So, should make it quite interesting. We have a couple of other slides here just to show you a little bit about what the sort of interior of the ship looks like. And in a moment, I'm going to show you guys a brief video from YouTube, so you can just get a 1.5 minute feel for what it's like being on the boat. And let me just do that, actually show that YouTube video. And while I'm teeing this up, if Pim or Eric, you guys have been more on the boat than myself. So if there's anything else to add about what it's like being on the Wylde Swan, do let us know while I get the video ready.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So the Wylde Swan is a really beautiful ship. I think it's one of the most beautiful schooners in the world. At least it's the fastest one. They've won the Tall Ship race before, and the whole ship is designed for education, and that's what I really like about that ship. But I think your video is going to start in a second now.
Yeah, I think we're ready. So let me throw this on. I'll just warn you, when the video starts, there's some loud music. It settles down a little bit, but just be warned. So in case you need to adjust your volume a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just a little video there. There's a whole bunch of additional ones if you want to check out. We just want to get you a little feel for what, being on the deck of the boat is like. If you go to do a Google search for wyldeswan.com, WYLDE Swan, there's some great additional videos there, which you can check out. So let me just pop back on the PowerPoint slides, and we can continue walking through some of our webinar today. What we want to do now is just pivot into sharing with you a bit of how we design this program. And there are three components to it. So one is the racing component, which Pim is going to walk us through and introduce us to. We're then going to talk about the learning program, which I'll take a lead on. And then Eric's going to lead us into the third component, which is around the leadership quest journey piece. So Pim, I'll pass it over to you, and I can toggle the slides as you need to. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to share something about the race with you. So on the 15th of April, the race is going to start in Greenwich in London. And that's going to be really awesome because at that moment, there will be around 35 to 40 other tall ships. So there's this whole event going on. And that time we will board, we will meet on the 15th, and at night we will watch the fireworks that will be there. So there will be all these kind of festivities. And the next day we will set sail, and it's going to be a sail out. And the sail out is that all the tall ships go out over the River Thames, and this is always a really spectacular sight. So it's going to be really enjoyable. Then we will go to the Bay of Torbay, and we will probably arrive there on the 18th of April. I don't know if we will go there on anchor, but I don't know if we're going to go into the port of Torquay there. I'm not sure about that yet. That depends on what time we arrive and other circumstances. And that's the funny thing about being on board of a ship. Circumstances change, plans will change all the time. So it's like a really VUCA world. On the 19th, then we will set sail for Sines, and then the 19th will really be the start of the race. And during the race, we will learn how to sail. We will learn how to navigate. If you like it, you can climb. You will learn how to climb the yard. If you don't want to do that, no worries about that. We will take watches. So there's going to be 4 watches every day. So we have to split the group up into 4 teams. It's going to. People probably will get seasick, but that normally takes a day or so, and then it gets better. But be prepared for that. And after, I think, approximately 9 days, it all depends on the weather. I think we probably arrive there on the 28th. I think we will be there the first, because this is really a fast ship.
You're confident, Pim.
Oh yeah, I'm really confident because they're sailing now. At the moment, they're sailing back from the Caribbean to the Azores, and they're doing like 10 knots an hour. So they're really fast.
And Pim, just a quick question. So
it will be there by the 28th, you said?
I think we will arrive arrive in Sines by the 28th or the 29th.
Okay.
So when we arrive there will be some port activities there. We will have time to come to a closure with our trip, and on the 30th of April, this trip will end, and everyone will go back to probably Lisbon and fly back home from there.
Yeah. Pim, in some of our conversations, you mentioned that the boats take the race pretty seriously. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's not just a parade of tall ships, which is pretty beautiful and all that. But yeah.
No, definitely not. No, this crew is really going for it. They really want to win, and we make a fair chance to win as well, because I think it's one of the fastest ones that's around. Yeah.
And the Wylde Swan.
I've been sailing with them in the Caribbean, and it was really funny because there was this helicopter hovering above us, and there were 3 other tall ships, and we were, say, a nautical mile behind them, and then we put on sail and we ran across them, and the helicopter was asking us not to go that fast because he wanted to have a nice picture of the 4 of us together. So I'm pretty confident we're going to win.
And then, Pim, just a few words about the boat. Will continue on for 4 months, and there are actually 2 captains, and there's some crew that rotate, and so the boat's going to be kind of continuing on, but we're gonna pick it up at the first part of this journey. But
after Sines, they're going to the Canary Islands, and then to Bermuda, and then to Boston, and the Wylde Swan is going straight from Bermuda to the Great Lakes, I think. And we're missing that part of going to Boston. I think they got a slightly different program, and I think they will do the last leg back from Halifax. And we will have our training in the end of August there as well. Yeah. We've got a 3-day training there. Yeah,
we're also going to be doing a 3-day off the coast of Nova Scotia. We're not sure if that's going to be for coaches yet or a corporate client. So, just for those of you who are maybe interested in coming, one of our goals is coming out of this 2 weeks, we're going to be having a videographer on board, which I forgot to mention. And we're excited to bring this concept to companies and to teams. And probably shorter trips, obviously 3 days will probably be more the norm. But to use that at the front end, you could imagine of a 6-month leadership program or the beginning of a team, coaching engagement. And so, anyways, more of that to come in future conversations. But, here's a little bit of a picture from, I think, 2015, the last time the Tall Ships were working here is on the Thames in London on the parade out of harbor. It's gonna be really beautiful. Fun.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, and then over here, there's the picture of the Wylde Swan here on the right there in front of this this building. Maybe some of you know this building in London. I'm not sure what it is, but anyways, it should be a blast. If you're interested in these slides, happy to send them to you. There's some additional videos. I have one link here to a video that's been put together by the Royal Greenwich Harbour about they're having a 4-day festival from April 12th to the 16th on the day we leave for people in London to come to check out, to actually walk onto the tall ships, get to see that. There's a big festival. So there's a great video there. You can see some snapshots of the Wylde Swan in that as well. All right, so good stuff, Pim. And, I think the race really provides a really wonderful experience for all of us, that'll be on it in terms of actually having a real goal to work toward. So rather than just being a simulation, it's going to be an actual task for us to perform on.
Exactly. It's really going to be about teamwork, about responsibility and respect, and, all the necessary things for sailing a tall ship. Exactly.
So the race is going to give us, a context for learning. And we wanted to talk a little bit about the learning program, which, when we started designing this, I think we classically went back to a lot of our training design as facilitators and trainers, where we tend to come up with an agenda from 9 to 5 every day. And so we started thinking about, being more disruptive and challenging some of our assumptions around design. And so while we will have some training modules, you can imagine a 90-minute, 2-hour session at least every day. We're not going to jam-pack the day all day long from 9 to 5 with a tightly scripted training program. But again, having said that, we're going to play around with an experiment with a balance of structure as well as fluidity. So there'll be times for you to learn sailing, to have time for reflection, to get some peer coaching and mentoring, and then also for us to work in teams, sub-teams on watches, et cetera, but also as a full learning group. And so that's going to be a dynamic design, and we're really excited to work with you on that. Part of our designing thinking now is for the first week, we as the facilitators are going to be much more in a leadership role around facilitation. But as we move into the second week, we're going to be challenging the participants to step in more and to lead as well during that. So we really want to sort of play again around with the distributed leadership model, that all of us are coming to this training with strengths, with skills, and we want to bring that all to life so we can really tap the collective intelligence that's there in our learning group. We've
I also want to add that what's going to be, for me at least, different than anything that I've ever done is that a lot of the learning is going to be organic. And what I mean by that is, so I've been part of leadership trainings where there's been rope courses. Here, the rope course is going to be the weather changes and the sails have to go up. We may be in the middle of doing some kind of learning with you, and suddenly you're going to be needed by the crew. So part of the training is actually like dancing with the disruption naturally happens on a ship. So yes, we have things that we're planning to teach you, and I think the most of the learning is going to happen organically.
Awesome. And I think it's a good metaphor for real organizational life, right? That managing distraction is sort of a classic challenge all of us face, and those we are coaching oftentimes deal with on a daily basis. So it's something that we want to sort of replicate, that will just be naturally replicated on the boat. We've developed a model which we call the whole mind, fully embodied leadership model, which really is sort of, I think, in line with, this idea, if you sort of go to the popular book that's out, Reinventing Organizations, that one of the things organizations at the sort of bleeding edge or cutting edge are really experimenting with is how do we create environments where we can bring the full being to work. And I don't need to share with you how low employee engagement scores are in organizations, but people are seeking to be part of organizations that are more purpose-driven, not just profit-driven, but that really encourage and bring the whole human being to work. And so we've developed an approach that really, I think really taps into all that's potential there for human beings. Most of us move through organizational life largely in the head, in the rational world, business analysis and metrics and problem solving and logic. And, we know that's valuable, and we're also really undeveloped and not tapping into other sources of knowledge. And so obviously emotional intelligence, tapping into the heart, is something we're going to be digging into. Also in our bodies, in our geography, in our kinesthetic ways of knowing, there's a lot of wisdom. And so, if many of you have been through coach training, you're aware of how the body mirrors the mind, and the body contains a lot of information. So we're going to be working with that. We're also going to tap into intuitive ways of knowing and leading, and dig into that. And another one, which is kind of an area which is sort of taboo or unspoken about, is what we call the groin, which is sort of a really powerful place of knowledge, and which we call sort of a passion center. It's been very amazing as we've worked with this model with clients and in groups. once we get past the adolescent initial reaction to the groin, there's an incredible amount of knowledge there and wisdom to tap into. And again, we're going to be doing this on an individual level, but also on a collective level, team level. And we have a really interesting exercises where we move the group around on a floor into these 5 areas, and as a team have conversations and explore from those different perspectives. Really rich, really excited. I know, Pim, you just came out of working with the Dutch police using the model. And I wonder, just for the listeners to give a little flavor for what that's like, do you want to share a brief anecdote? I think it was exciting when you were sharing that with me.
It was amazing. I worked with the Dutch police force last Monday. And the part I'm working with deals with human trafficking and intelligence. And they really have to work together. And they had this thing about ownership and how to work as a team together. And what we did is, after we did some work where they really got to know each other more and more, we laid a model down on the floor, and we put the whole team first in the head, where the reason is. So just explain, well, what's that like for you? And coming from the head. And then we moved them to the heart, and a whole different emotion came down there. People got really, came from warmth. And the funny thing is with this model, if you move people through the 5 knowledge center as a team, you're kind of working with the system. And what I really like about it is that they really that teams that you tap into the team intelligence when working with this model.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, and so Pim, did you also walk through the other knowledge centers with the group, or you just got through 2?
We went to the groin, and the groin was of course really was kind of hard to get there, because there was one woman who stood straight on the groin. And there was this guy who said, "Oh no, don't step on it. that's a bit too much." And it gets funny, but once you get over that kind of tension, there's a richness in it that's incredible. And if you can use that passion that is there towards your team and towards the system you're working with, there's a lot of knowledge there that's just wanting to come out and making a difference.
Yeah.
I want to add also something around the groin, is that the groin is, yes, that's where passion resides, and it's also where creativity originates.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot to work with in the groin once you can get past, as Krister said, the adolescent reaction to it. And also that's something that, we include. It's not something that we I mean, we're humans, and there is a part of us that is juvenile, and that's okay. So that's how we work with the groin.
Yeah. It's fun. We worked with the captain and crew of the Wylde Swan back in November in Rotterdam, which is the home port of the boat. And we took them through a whole day of whole mind, fully embodied leadership as a team. And super powerful when we walked them on the model as a team, how it really got to the heart of the big things that was, holding that team back from going from good to great. And so, it's a super powerful model. And I think any of you who have background in coaching people from different perspectives, getting people up and moving, the power of that type of coaching. But to do it not just with one person, but with a whole team or sub-team is really revealing. So we're excited to work with that. Again, we telegraphed a little bit earlier the idea of nature. So we really want to tap into sort of an awareness of the context, the environment, the ecosystem, nature, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But, tapping into what's available to us as a resource in the larger environment that's around us. And so, sort of a more global way of tapping into the what's available in the environment. Mention, we're going to be integrating coaching across levels, so individual, team, and systems. So you can think about it as me, you, we, and it. And, there's all of these sort of things work in an interdependent nested system. And so the boat's going to create a great opportunity for us to work across all those levels and really explore learning. And that's one of our big hopes for you, because we imagine everybody coming to the program is going to be more or less skilled in any one of these levels. And to be able to start to bring those together as a gestalt, as an integrated whole, will be helpful. I'm going to ask Eric to help us with the last one, which is the BADASS acronym, because this is something that came from is a brainchild of Eric. But Eric, do you want to provide for the participants today a little bit about what is the BADASS and how is that showing up in our learning program?
Yeah, so this originally got created. An organization asked me to put in a proposal for a leadership program, and they basically said to me, do something outside of the box. And this is what I came up with. And so it's badass leadership. And I believe that this is actually what's needed inside organizations today. The B stands for bold. You need to have courage as a leader. You need to really go for it. Authenticity or authentic. Leaders that are real. Leaders that both show courage and vulnerability and have range. That's something that is definitely important in terms of leadership today. You need to be disruptive. We talk a lot about disruption in the tech sector, but there's also the human disruption. You need to disrupt old models. You need to disrupt cultures that no longer actually serve the company. Agile, the agile movement. Krister actually can talk more about that because he's into the team coaching. But there's a whole movement now around agility, having teams be able to actually shift in a moment, and to talking about ships. The current may change, the winds may change. You need to be agile. Spaciousness, as a leader, you need to include others. You need to be able to sometimes get out of the way, let go of your agenda for the bigger agenda. And then the last is being supportive. You need to be supportive. You need to reach out to your team. You need to be able to really, really put them first sometimes. So that's badass leadership.
And so you can imagine throughout the 2 weeks, we're going to have some days where we have themes, creative ways for you to get in touch with these principles and to embody them in addition to the 5 knowledge centers as we go through the learning program. So a little bit of a taste for you about what's to come. It's going to be really dynamic, experimental elements to it. We're going to be getting to know the participants more and really integrating their skill sets and really playing around with how do we tap the collective wisdom of the group. And, just because we're 4 sort of leaders of the program and have a special role in terms of facilitating this program, we also really want to open up and really see how do we tap the collective intelligence that's going to be in the program.
Kind of the big picture that we're looking at is that this is going to be a 2-week race. And the first week, yes, we're going to be laying in these concepts. So you will be getting a lot of theory and experience around this theory. And then the second week, we want very much to turn it over to the participants and have you actually create from your own experience, create from what you've learned, create from the vast knowledge that you already have, and give you an opportunity to what we call expand your leadership presence. And yes, we'll be there and we'll be giving you feedback on how you're showing up as a leader. And but know that the second week is we're really attempting to turn it over to you.
So Eric, while you're on to the theme of leadership, do you want to walk the participants through the final component, the third component of the program?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that we're really looking for you to do is have a personal leadership journey, what we're calling a quest for you to get in touch with your purpose, find out what you're up to in the world, what's important to you. And as you're going through that journey, we're going to be offering individualized mentoring and coaching. Pim, Krister, and I are going to be available for you to, get the coaching that's necessary for you to get the most out of this trip. We're also, a big component of this is going to be journaling. We're going to give you time to reflect and to write. And also, we want you to know, if that's not your thing, that's okay too. There's other ways to reflect. We'll have you find the way that works best for you. The distributed leadership, I already talked a little bit about that. I've talked a little bit about the collective leadership. We're also going to be training you on fellowship. What we mean by that is that as a leader, it's just as important to empower the person that's in front of you as it is to be the person in the front. So you'll get some training in that also. Also, what we're going to be training you in is how to give feedback. So feedback traditionally has been a really, really something that is a doing thing. And what I mean by that is, how do you do feedback? How do you deliver it? But there's also a being component that we're going to be training you in. So just know that also. Exploring the coach as leader. I think we talked a little bit about this already, that there's going to be a lot of coaching. So you'll also be learning some coaching skills, or you'll be revisiting some coaching skills that you already learned and deepen those skills. I already talked a little bit about leadership presence. We'll be giving you feedback. We'll be giving you feedback, and you'll be giving each other feedback. This is also where the feedback training will come in. And the feedback is going to be around your impact. What's your intended impact as a leader, and also what's your unintended impact.
Wonderful, Eric. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at the clock, and I just wanted to make a little plug. One of the things with Robert, and just a little plug for Robert, it's going to be great having Robert on with his experience, having been out on the ocean alone, trans-ocean races, is to really tap into, as you mentioned earlier, around decision-making and how to rely on yourself. And when you're in really ambiguous situations, where do you turn to? So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, especially with our time on the boat, for storytelling, for us to tap into our leadership stories and to share a lot. And I'm in particular interested in learning about everybody's stories, but some of Robert's, and I think we're going to tap some of his expertise in that part as well.
Enough examples.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
So just have a few minutes left here for the formal part. Feel free to stick around towards the end, but we have about 6 participants who have registered for the program so far. We're looking, probably maybe another 5 or 6. So we're, between our team and the participants, we're going to be a team of around 15 or 16. That's sort of the goal we're going. So we have a few seats left in the program. And, for folks who may be interested in this, the way to apply is to go to teamcoachingzone.com/spread your wings. There's a short application there. We're just screening people to make sure they have some basic minimum requirements about coaching, so that if you have had no background in coaching or working with teams or systems, this program may not be for you, but you can check that out. There's a lot more information there. Folks are going to arrive on April 15th. Boat set sails on the 16th. And again, we're going to get to Sines in Portugal on the 28th or 29th. We're about 2 hours from Lisbon, so we're going to be taking a land transportation to Lisbon. The program pricing includes your spot on the boat, food on the boat, board on the boat, the learning program. And so we think it's a really sweet deal. It doesn't include your transportation to and from London and Lisbon or the port. nor does it, cover any alcohol or a special drinks, but water and such like that will be, available and those kinds of things. So if you want some more information, you can contact me at Krister@teamcoachingzone.com for more information. And want to thank you all for joining today. And, in the few minutes we have at the end here, if there are questions, feel free to come on your microphone, pop them in the chat window. We'll linger around a little bit. But again, hope you join us for this. We're going to, again, be having a videographer on the boat. We're excited to come back and produce some videos and, some podcasts and such to bring back the learnings. And, our hope is that this is the first in a number of journeys like this that we'll be doing for coaches as well as for organizations and companies out there. So if you're at all thinking about joining us, we'd love to have you join us and apply for the program. It's going to be a really dynamic 2 weeks. We're really excited about it. Can't wait. And we hope you found this webinar useful today to provide some more context. So go to teamcoachingzone.com/webinars for a replay of this video. It should be up later today or by tomorrow. We're on February 22nd today, 2017. And with that, we will sort of formally end the formal part of the webinar today and just open it up for questions, comments, and take it from there.
Can you hear me, Krister?
I can indeed, Sean.
On our last day, I need to make flights. And what time is a reasonable time, the earliest reasonable time to make a departure from Lisbon?
Yeah. So if you've come with me, I'm going to be there at 12:30 p.m., my flight back to New York from Lisbon on the 30th. So there's a whole group of us booking. A lot of the flights back to at least to the U.S. are at noon on the 30th. Okay. So we'll be leaving Sina early, in the morning, early, plenty of time to get there. We're in the port on the 28th or 29th. We're going to have some time in port to disembark, and we'll get some transportation together back to Lisbon. So,
excellent, thank you.
Yes, it's going to be great. It's going to be great to have you on board, Sean. And actually, for folks that just who are here, Sean dropped a great LinkedIn post about leadership and the shift to teaming and distributed leadership. On LinkedIn, which folks may want to check out. I think some of the themes that you wrote about, Sean, in that engaging article are going to be very much front and center in our learning program on the boat. So,
thank you. I've been surprised by the response. It's been very positive.
Yeah, it's a provocative title. It's the what is it? The leader is dead. Now what?
Yeah.
So, what is one of the little stats? I'll just make a little plug for Sean's article. Is he did a search, and if you search leadership on Amazon, you get like 93,000 titles come back. If you do a search on teams, it's like a quarter of that. It's like 15,000, or I don't know what the exact numbers are, 20-something thousand. But it's kind of really, and then if you actually do a Google search or Amazon search for followership, you'll be even shocked even more by how little you see out there on followership. But anyways, just some interesting points, I think, in your article, in this shift to teaming and the requisite shift that we're going to need to make in organizations to, basically continue to be able to adapt. I'm actually meeting with one of the top banks on Friday who are starting to tiptoe into leadership team coaching because they're aware that the leaders of the organization's mindsets are holding them back from being able to shift to a more agile way of organizing. And so anyways, I think this is a very relevant theme. And I think a lot of the stuff we're going to be exploring on the boat are really going to be really diving into that in a really rich way.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? It's Beatrice.
Yes. Please, Beatrice.
First, thanks. All what you said, really resonates in me for different point of view. Being an amateur sailor, having sailed as an amateur, and being now a coach. So joining the two together, it's really very exciting to me, and including the growing part, because I was smiling when you said that, because I have been doing Tai Chi and Karate, and we have that exercise that has been branded by our sensei, which is called sphincter size, and I could tell more about it. So everything resonates. It's like all of a sudden everything is linked. So I'm very much interested. It's short notice for me, so not quite sure I can make it, but that's why I wanted to attend this seminar to get. I also wanted, and I got total answer on that. Response on that. I wanted to make sure that it was also about coaching, not just that it was created. So thanks a lot, because I get answers to all my virtual questions. So I have two colleagues actually that are interested as well, so I will I direct them to the replay of the video. What is the deadline to and providing that you would get me on that boat? What is the deadline for to apply?
Well, it's really first come, first serve. So I think once we've kind of tapped our maximum size, additional seats beyond a learning group of 12. So we're looking at 12 participants, and we have 4 to 5 with our videographer and our team. So any additional seats beyond that, right now we have about 5-6 seats left.
Okay.
And we have a number of folks kind of circling around. So anything above that number, if we get a rush of, last minute registrations, is going to really depend on, the Wylde Swan is going to be bringing a few other sail trainees on. So it's going to be a function of that. So we may sell out in the next week or maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. But we in particular encourage women to apply. We've had a lot of women interested. Right now we're a bit male dominated. There'll probably be other women on the boat, the crew and some of the others. But so far we have a bit of a male dominated team.
Yeah,
and we've had a handful of women who are just ready to make the decision to come. So we're really hoping more will jump in.
Women.
So yeah.
That's enough
for diversity. For diversity reasons, for perspective. But yeah. So.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Beatrice.
What about the weather? What's the weather like? What should we pack?
So we're going to be doing some special sessions leading up to the trip for the people who register. And so it seems the seasonal average is in the 50s as we can expect during that time. But again, I guess we're going to have to see more as we get a little bit closer if it's warmer or cooler than that. But we'll provide some more, specifics on what to bring in terms of your pack and sleeping bags and such. So.
Yeah, which is a practical question, but what in terms of sleeping bags and all that, what do you provide or not?
There are, it's wiser to bring your own sleeping bag and to bring your own towel. But the Wylde Swan will provide the cushions and how do you call it, an overtrack? Do you know that, Robert?
Yeah, the sheets and bedding.
Sheets, right.
Sheets and linen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You definitely won't be having your own stateroom. So this is going to be
right.
I think one of the things that's going to be really fun is, all of us living together in close quarters for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so that's going to be an interesting challenge and learning opportunity for us. So.
Yeah.
Usually is on a boat, right?
Yeah. Which for some may be a horror, and for some may be really exciting if you love being with people. And have to get creative to find places on the boat where you can be alone. But I think the watches and such will definitely provide you ample opportunity to get a little bit of solitude if you're someone who needs a larger dosage of that in your daily regimen.
Also, in terms of a team experience, I think the fact that you're going to all be together for 2 weeks. It's going to force us to actually have real conversations with each other.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think there's a real opportunity to, on the team coaching side of it, there's a real opportunity here.
Guys, I just want to make 2 comments. First of all is thank you very much. I think you guys, Krister, Pim, Eric, Robert Jacobson organized this very, very well.
Thank you.
I'm impressed with the quality.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you, Luis.
I'm inspired for it. I think when I saw it in the team coaching, I decided to register and go for it. Not think too much. Not very normal with me.
Good for you. You let the groin help you take action, right?
In the psychiatric world, we would call you impulsive.
No, but I remember when Luis emailed, he said, it's not like me at all to make decisions in this impulsive way. But when I saw this, I think you come from the hometown where the boat, Macum, right?
Yeah, that's maybe the second comment. There's a few coincidences. My partner, she's Dutch and comes from Friesland, which is in the north of Holland. And I originally actually from Portugal, close to Sinus.
Okay,
Lisbon.
And you're an executive and team coach, right, Luis?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, and the second comment was about in the last day or days, if somebody needs some tips or advice or help with regards to Lisbon or the way back, All going well. I speak the local language.
Great.
Nice.
You're a subject matter expert. Great.
Right.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you on board. Really, right.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are here today who have registered, and we have some others who have registered and they're not here, we're going to be reaching out to you. We're going to be doing some one-on-one interviews with you to tap in a bit more into your needs and help you start to think about your learning goals for this journey. So we really want to customize this experience for you. We'll be doing a few more webinar sessions specifically just for the team who will be part of this program leading up to that. So, be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. And, feel free to shoot us messages at any time. So
we have a couple of things that we didn't share because we want to surprise you.
Just a general observation. When Krister, you first mentioned this to me when we were having coffee, I immediately was excited. I had to put off the decision for 2 weeks because my impulse was to sign up right away because it just sounded so exciting. And I wanted to make
legions of people with that reaction.
Yeah. And now I've told lots of people, and everybody that I've told is, oh my God, that sounds awful.
Oh, really?
You're going to have the same people for 2 weeks? You're going to be at sea? And my daughter says, oh, that's awful, Dad. That is so you.
So what I'm getting is that sounds incredible. I think the challenge for most people is getting away for 2 weeks. So this will probably be unique. There may be opportunities in the future for longer journeys, 2 weeks, and even, the transatlantics are a month long. But I think we're probably having an eye for more like 3-day programs is probably going to be more the norm in the future. So I think this is going to be a unique one. Not to rule out longer trips in the future, but probably that for most people, it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing to get away for 2 weeks or a month. So.
Right. But if I may, there's something to say about being at sea for 9 days.
Yeah.
It brings a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what we want to go for.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
everyone, thank you all so much for joining today.
I think
David,
please, go ahead.
when Eric shared this with me, I was really excited. I'd grown up sailing and racing in warmer waters out in Hawaii. But, immediately I had so many questions just of the practical, and I'm really excited to hear that there's going to be more information about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'm looking forward to it. And, I think that this is going to be a wonderful opportunity. But you're right, working with and living with people for 2 weeks is challenging, but I also find it very exciting.
Yeah,
it is.
It's gonna be an inescapable place to grow and develop as a human being. Let's put it that way.
I bareboat chartered with my family for 10 days and on a 40-footer, and having 4 on the boat that size. We did survive. We lived through it, but it was close.
Luckily, this boat's a bit bigger.
I'm very glad about that.
David, is it okay if I tell them a little bit about your background? I mean,
Sure.
And please correct me because I'm probably not going to say it 100% correctly. But David you were a pastor, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
for
you were
35 years.
And specifically for police, correct?
Well, I had 16 years as a police chaplain on the side of that.
Oh, on the side of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So David brings a whole spiritual
Beautiful.
that I'm really looking forward to learning from, actually. I just
Don't
want
hold it against me.
What was that?
I said, don't hold my past against me. I'm retired now and doing the coaching.
Yeah, well, so when we talk about bringing the full being to work, that includes spirit as well. I think we've had people have given us feedback on the 5 knowledge centers. They said, well, where does spirit reside? And I said, well, I guess it depends on how you look at that. But, the whole idea of nature, that's part of that. But also, interestingly, when you look at the groin, most people don't associate spirituality with the groin. But if you think about it, the groin being the place that brings life, it's very deeply spiritual. And a lot of artists throughout the ages have had a close coupling with our sexuality and our spirituality. So anyways, I think you can find different places in our model. Maybe it's an intuition, maybe it's a growth, maybe it kind of transcends all of them and shows up in all, including in the nature piece. But we definitely want to welcome bringing the full being to this experience, so including
I also want to give Ram an opportunity if Ram has anything he wants to say, or Ram, I should say Ram. Are you there, Ram?
Yes, sorry, I've been in and out because of different meetings here, so that's why I did not want to chime in, but this looks awesome, and I think I'm getting closer.
We see you.
Yeah, now you see me.
Yeah.
I was multitasking, so that's why I did not want to barge in, because
we understand.
It's middle of the day, so. Thank you everyone for organizing this. This was great, and
you're welcome, Ram.
This was last minute, but I think I'm very close.
Sign up, Ram.
Yeah, I know.
Being here.
No pressure.
Somebody was just talking about the flight timings, and my hand straight went up to Priceline.com just to look at the available flights.
The tickets are pretty reasonable right now, so book early. So it's a good time of year actually to travel. So
yeah, if I may, prices are really down right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to
Europe.
I just booked 2 days ago, and really good prices. So
yeah, I'm going to be in Europe in June also. So yeah, I think this year is Europe.
Okay.
It is.
Well, Ram, if you need to speak to someone one-on-one, I can make myself available. So.
No worries. Thank you so much, though.
Yeah, thank you, Ram.
My question was, would it be adolescent for me to ask if what you intended it as a pun when you talked about the groin and coupling with other areas?
Exactly. It wasn't intended, but my wit was just even coming through the subconscious, right? So.
And my adolescence has come through the.
Yeah.
You see, it's already going to create a very rich. It's going to be the groin will just alone be a very rich source of learning for us all on that trip. So.
You should see what happens when I introduce that in a corporate setting. It's like.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, but some of where that comes from, I mean, one of the things we didn't get into is Eric has a background in acting, and they talk about head, heart, and groin actors, right? So it's one of the things we're going to be tapping into in Eric's expertise is bringing some of that acting part about how to bring presence. And what kind of actor are you? And can you be all three, or do you niche into one more than others? That'll be, I think, a rich area of learning.
Needed.
What's that?
Or you tap into different areas when needed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, everyone, let's just sort of close up the formal webinar here. Again, thank you for coming today, and look forward to making this replay available to folks out there who attended today and those who couldn't. And we hope to see you aboard the Wylde Swan on April 15th in London. So have a great day, everyone. Take care.